341 days ago, we left Australia to travel the world full time. Since then, we've seen the jungles of Asia, the deserts of Africa, and the snowfields in Europe. We have taken planes, trains, buses, and boats across 23 countries and traveled the same distance as if we circumnavigated the globe twice. But to start this entire journey, we took a quick flight from Australia to Singapore.
Line your head up.
Okay.
So we went to beautiful Singapore, had an entire week there, not without some issues like booking an accommodation that we weren't allowed to stay in. But it was our first week of full-time travel. We thought only uphill from here. Then we got to Thailand.
Okay, that didn't happen straight away, but we came into Thailand with an ambition to learn how to scuba dive, explore the whole country, go north to south, seeing everything and all the beautiful beaches. But about halfway through, we had an accident. And we toppled over. We had really nice passers-by stop for us and call an ambulance. Got taken to the local hospital in the ambulance and all bandaged up.
Instead, we got to see the inside of a hospital quite a lot, got to get to know some doctors and nurses quite well, and spent way longer than anticipated inside of our hotel room.
All was not lost. We did heal up eventually and get to explore the northern parts of Thailand, which were beautiful.
Welcome from Kuala Lumpur. Please enjoy your visit.
And then to the night market. Market.
World's largest market. And tried our first noodle dish, which we fell in love with, khao soi. From there, we hunted more noodles and we flew directly to Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam!
We flew into Saigon down the bottom of Vietnam with a plan to make our way all the way up the coast, right up to the top in Sapa and Hanoi. Things went more to plan, but it was still a bit scary, especially the mopeds when we were there.
We didn't really know what to expect with Vietnam, and we were so shocked at how different each place was. You go from the busyness of Saigon to like ancient cities like Hue, and then you end up at Halong Bay, literally a natural wonder. It's just got everything. And the food is incredible. We fell in love with khao lao in Hoi An. I'm pretty sure it's still Jordan's like #1 dish from the entire trip.
Top of my list, still. After reaching the top of Vietnam, we allocated 3 weeks in India. We'd already booked our flights, so we flew out of Hanoi and straight into New Delhi.
With only 3 weeks in India, we only planned to do the Golden Triangle, so Delhi, Agra and Jaipur, and it was beautiful, but so damn hot.
We were lucky that all the places we went to were linked by trains, but some of those trains didn't have the best air conditioning.
And when it's a 46-degree day at like 10 in the morning, you kind of want air conditioning. I was straight up miserable that whole time. Turns out we're a day early. I don't know how we've done this, but we've checked out of our hotel a day early, gotten onto the train a day early, and we're about to go to our next hotel a day early.
Do not make our mistake. It is now double the price. Also in India, we went to Agra and saw the Taj Mahal.
Now we're at the Taj Mahal.
Where we fell in love with trying to find wonders of the world, which pretty much influenced our next flight, taking us directly from Delhi to Cairo, Egypt.
Egypt was like this chaotic blur of excitement. Everything has merged into one memory for Egypt for me, just because it was so busy and hectic and loud and fun and...
We moved pretty fast paced, going from Cairo down to Luxor on an overnight train, which was the best train experience we had to that date.
We got to see amazing temples like the Luxor Temple, the Great Pyramids of Egypt. I got to kiss the Sphinx. We even saw Edfu Temple, which I think is both of our favorites.
And in Edfu Temple, we got attacked by bats. Was that a bat?
That was so scary.
Our budget was already pretty ruined, but we decided to throw some fuel on the fire and book a cruise through Egypt as well. So we cruised from Luxor down to Aswan on a 5-star all-inclusive cruise.
And then one of our favorite things was the last city we went to in Egypt, Alexandria. We hadn't really heard as much about Alexandria, but it was amazing.
Once we'd explored Alexandria, we hopped on a flight straight to one of our favorite countries of all time, Italy.
After an all too quick 48 hours in Rome, we made our way to Rhodes for our first ever house sitting.
We do trusted house sitters for a couple of reasons. The first one is obviously budget. When it gets away from us, it's really handy to rein it back in by staying in one place for a little bit of time and not paying for accommodation. But the second reason
Puppy cuddles!
is puppy cuddles. We have a dog at home, Sawyer, and we miss him a lot, so we get to scratch that itch by scratching their itches. That's weird. We then quickly moved through Belgium and the Netherlands before boarding a 15-hour overnight Flixbus that took us all the way through Germany without getting off.
I will say, it sounds a lot worse than it is.
We had very low expectations
Yeah.
because of what it is, but they got the job done. It was affordable. Not too bad. That landed us in Poland, where we had a few weeks to explore.
In Poland, we got to see some amazing things. We fell in love with the city of Gdansk. Stuck forever. Oh no. Ate beautiful pierogies and Polish food and ended our time in one of our favorite Polish cities of Krakow.
From there, we hopped on another bus which took us to Bratislava, Slovakia. We were so excited to see that country for the first time until we realized about 4 years earlier we had been there before.
Yeah, so we've been here before. How do we not remember that we've been to this country before? Like, because all we have is 6 or something photos to look back on that you never look back on, really. But making videos, it's such a good way to remember this time in our lives. And now, hopefully, we won't forget. We have been to Bratislava twice.
Which was a little bit embarrassing, but it was so much more pretty and
The fried cheese.
fried cheese.
Such a good country. We have so many fond memories there.
Then we grabbed another Flixbus that took us all the way to Budapest. We had been to Budapest before, and we knew we wanted to extend our time somewhere that we could really knuckle down and get some work done. Budapest seemed to be the perfect place, so we had a whole week in a really nice Airbnb.
I mean, it has everything. The amazing sights and hikes you can go on, the food, like the culture. It was just the perfect place for a week. But the week went way too quickly and we jumped on a train all the way to Romania.
We had a reason for that too. We were starting to count our Schengen days. Should I say Schengen? Or should I just keep saying how we say it?
So apparently we pronounced Schengen wrong. I don't know if it's an Australian thing or if it's an us thing, but we have only ever known it as Schengen.
Schengen.
So sorry for the mispronunciation. It will continue.
We were counting our Schengen days by then, and we were getting a little bit worried about our future plans that we wanted to come back in Europe towards the end of the year, so we hopped on a train from Budapest that took us all the way out of the Schengen and into Romania.
Beautiful Romania, where we did our first ever road trip and just fell in love with road trips, and Romania even more. The sights we saw, the food we ate, just the whole experience is so high on my list for this entire trip.
Me too.
Transfiguration?
Today we are finally doing the Transfiguration Highway. In my wildest dreams, I never thought that this day we would be surrounded by the Carpathian Mountains, petting a donkey. Instantly become one of my happy places.
The most beautiful highway in the world, Liberty Bear Sanctuary.
Yeah.
The list goes on.
After Romania, we wanted to keep exploring that area outside of the Schengen, and we knew Serbia was pretty close, so we started planning how we're going to get there. We found out that there's no land connection between the two countries at all. According to the internet, there was a direct train between Timisoara and Belgrade, but since Serbia and Romania's railway companies don't really gel very well, that train's not running anymore. They've severed every direct line between the two countries. So we figured we would catch a train as close to the border as possible, get over the border somehow, and then catch another train once we're in Serbia to take us to the capital of Belgrade. Turns out it can be done pretty easily, but it isn't cheap. We ended up having to get a ride with someone who was definitely not a taxi driver.
He was nice though. Except for when he kept asking us if we had weed.
No drogo, no marijuana, no.
Because they lock you up.
In Serbia, we tried some amazing food that is still up for debate. Apparently, burek isn't what we think it is.
Oh my god.
We had sarnica or cheese pie.
Which was incredible.
Delicious.
And made us want it in every country from then on. That next country was Montenegro. After Egypt, we loved the idea of catching an overnight train, accommodation and transport in one, so we thought we'd do that again. The Belgrade to Bar
has been described as one of the most scenic trains in Europe, so we had to try and get it. We were lucky enough to book onto private cabin, just the two of us. We can open this window and stick our head out, and you go through so many tunnels. And it feels like each time you go through one of those tunnels, you come out and the view has changed and it's just somehow way more beautiful. And another tunnel. Our friends Ash and Kels were actually on the same train as us. It was just a great way to get from Belgrade to Bar.
It was an incredible ride, incredible views, but we did have to bribe the Serbian police who did not want to let us leave the country.
My heart is racing. I was literally shaking. And Jordan's like, I have euro in my bag. Rips his bag down. I was like running through everything. Ended up costing us about 40 euro.
Cost us 40 euro in bribe to not be taken off the train in a random city in Serbia with no accommodation at 3 in the morning. Bribing the Serbian police was worth it.
Well worth the money for these views.
Again, a lot of debate about what is right and wrong there, but we got through. And now we always carry a little bit of euro, just in case.
In Montenegro, we weren't there for very long, so we only did Budva and Kotor, but they were beautiful. We got to hike up the ladder of Kotor and meet some goats along the way, and then we made our way to Bosnia.
Starting in Mostar, watching some people jump off the bridge, we ate some food and then we made our way up to Banja Luka, which is another city in Bosnia. Reason being is Ryanair flies out of Banja Luka and we wanted to get those cheap flights. So
the aim of the flight was to get us into Italy because we had another trusted house sitters lined up in Cortona, which is where Under the Tuscan Sun was filmed. So we flew from Banja Luka into Milan and caught a way longer than expected train all the way to Arezzo to start our second Italian trip.
Just made check-in there. Went to a beautiful winery, had some incredible wine there actually, it was really nice, before settling into that long house sit. That was a 16-night house sit, so 16 nights of not paying for accommodation and hanging out with puppies.
We still think about Stella and Ruby to this day. They were so sweet.
After that, we thought we don't want to waste our time in Italy, let's explore some more of it. So we decided to move further south in Italy, which we'd never been to before, did an incredible food tour, tried some of the best food of our lives there.
Wow. That is amazing.
I love it.
Oh my god.
And went to the oldest city in Italy. It's been inhabited since 7000 BC.
And James Bond shot No Time to Die there. Most important.
Crazy.
After our time in the south of Italy though, we needed to leave the Schengen zone again. So we flew from Italy to Bulgaria.
Flying into Sofia, we already knew what we wanted to do because Romania was so incredible. We were looking for a car. We wanted to do a road trip the same as we did in Romania, and that's what we did. What was great though, it was only $13 a day to get a car there. Couldn't believe it.
And that road trip started at such a high. We went to Bansko, which was kind of a random choice. Like, even to this day, I don't know why we decided to go to Bansko, but it was one of my favorite days of the entire trip, hiking up that mountain and then ending in this lodge with a fireplace and some cheesy fries and a beer. It was just perfect.
It was beautiful. We went to Veliko Tarnovo, which is another incredible city you cannot miss if you go to Bulgaria, and all the way out east to the Black Sea, we went to Varna.
And then we froze our butts off in a Neolithic village. For beds, it's this loft area, sticks, hay, and a mattress. So I'm not sure how that's gonna go. Surprisingly comfy for like what looks like a homemade mattress.
What a way to finish Bulgaria.
Luckily we had a fire and some marshmallows, so can't really complain.
Bulgaria was incredible.
Because we couldn't get enough, we caught another train from Sofia to Turkey. This one was definitely one of the best trains we've caught the entire time. It had a mini fridge with some snacks in there. The beds were quite comfy. You do obviously get woken up during the middle of the night to do passport control, but even that was quite a smooth process. No bribes.
We were very nervous about the border crossing, but it was fine. No issues whatsoever. And the rooms we were in, big.
Spacious.
Massive room, so without a hitch. Getting into Istanbul, we couldn't believe it when we opened Google and found out that it was actually the National Republic Day of Turkey, and we were staying right near Taksim Square, which is where they celebrate and have the concerts for the event.
It was so much fun being there. The place is already covered in flags as it is, but I feel like they just doubled overnight.
After Istanbul, we caught a bus down to the west coast of Turkey, stopping in a town called Çanakkale where we explored Anzac Cove
and had some of the best Turkish food of the entire trip. Tantuni is just on another level.
Wow, that is incredible. That goes shooting up the list of best foods we've had, like the whole time we've been going. After experiencing the incredible food in Çanakkale, we took another bus a little bit further down the coast to a town called Alaçatı where we indulged in more food.
There was this like chocolate biscuit thing. I feel like that's the main thing I remember. Or it was our first time having like a proper Turkish breakfast, and oh my god, do they know how to do breakfast.
From Alaçatı, we rented a car and went down the west coast to see the big ticket items that Turkey has, starting with Ephesus.
Ephesus blew our minds. It is like just this grand, insane place, and somehow we got it to basically ourselves. We were at the Library of Celsus, practically alone, getting to take in this ancient wonder of the world.
While there was a golden sunlight streaming through, everything turned golden. It was nuts. And then, to back that up, we drove to Pamukkale and got to see the cotton castles at sunrise again. And what we didn't know is there's balloons there in the morning.
It was such a magical morning. It was like this pink and blue sky with all these hot air balloons floating. And again, we were there by ourselves. Pamukkale, because we were there in winter, was actually freezing cold.
Ah, it's like ice.
Oh, it's like freezing cold.
My toes are gonna fall off.
Oh my god. What are the symptoms of frostbite?
Okay, yep, they are not all warm. Maybe we're just complainers, but no one ever mentioned how cold these pools are.
Till you got to the top where there were all these thermal pools, so we got to sit with our feet in the toasty warmth.
We also discovered there is so much more to Pamukkale than just those cotton castles. Behind it, there's a full ancient village and an amphitheatre and just like monolithic stones and walkways. It was really, really cool and a whole nother reason to go to Pamukkale. Once we finished in Pamukkale, we returned the car to Izmir where we picked it up and caught a bus. That bus took us all the way to a seaside town called Kaş. That's actually where we were filming the first part of this video. We had an incredible Airbnb with a balcony that overlooked the sunset. It was insane.
That was one of my favourite weeks, I think, of the entire trip, because Kaş was such a quaint, colourful town by itself, but we were quite removed from that, so we had our own space. We were kind of on a workation, just enjoying being there in a nice apartment with an amazing view.
Not to mention the ancient ruins and things that are scattered around the town. Crystal clear blue water.
And the like coolest hike we did that took forever because we kept getting it wrong.
Positives. Found a really, really nice lookout. Negatives. It's a straight drop down cliff to get to the beach we wanted to go to.
But you hike down to this beach that you can't get to by car. I just think that's so cool.
1 week in Kaş went way too quickly and we caught a short bus down to Antalya.
We only had a quick overnight stop in Antalya before we got on one of the longest bus journeys in Turkey that we had, a 12-hour journey on one of the better buses we've been on this entire trip, all the way from Antalya to Cappadocia.
And if you don't think you know Cappadocia, you probably do, because it's all the photos when you Google Turkey. It's those balloons that are coming up over sunset, over these kind of cave dwellings. We were really, really excited for it. Those balloons go almost every single day. It's a massive tourist event.
They fly 300 out of the 365 days a year, but for every day we're here, they're not scheduled.
Yep.
So what do you do in Cappadocia when there aren't any hot air balloons? There is some really cool hikes and stuff that we went on through these interesting looking rock formations.
Cappadocia wasn't exactly what we were expecting, but it was still really, really good, and it meant that we could easily fly from Cappadocia back to Istanbul to meet our next big change.
Basically the entire year we were building to this idea of wanting to do the European Christmas markets as much as we could, because I personally love Christmas. It's my favourite time of year, and I just feel like that's such an iconic experience if you're in Europe at that time of year.
So we took a combo of Pegasus Airlines and Ryanair, took us all the way through England and then back out to Lithuania to start our Christmas market journey.
We started in beautiful Vilnius, which will always have a part of our heart, I think. We just had such a good time there. We were like high on the fact we were surrounded by snow for the first time. Everything was decked out in Christmas decorations. The people were so nice. The food was incredible.
Food was nuts. We had these like fried bread with this incredible garlic cheese sauce that's just, I can't even see photos of that food without salivating everywhere. It's so tasty. Couldn't believe it. It left us with pretty high expectations for the food going through the Baltics. We went to the next country over of Latvia and started our time in Riga.
The thing with Riga is, unfortunately, we were starting to get sick. We had gone from like the hot, humid weather of Turkey and flown straight into snow and negative degrees, and we weren't equipped for it. We both had holes in our shoes, we had a Mac pack and one thermal shirt each. So we were getting sick.
Nonetheless, the markets in Riga perked us back up. The Christmas tree was the best one we saw the entire year of travel. Not that there would be Christmas trees when it's not Christmas. But it was the best tree we saw in every place that had them. And we got a chance in Riga to finally get some warmer clothes.
We found this amazing deal at a secondhand shop and everything was €2. So we stocked up. We hit the jackpot. €2 for a big sweater for Jordan, €2 for a Christmas sweater for Jordan, €2 for a pair of track pants for me, and €2 for a red festive jumper and a white jumper.
Our next stop was Tallinn, Estonia, another quick bus ride away, and we came into one of the best preserved medieval towns in Europe.
Again, we just had such an amazing time in Estonia. We were finally warm because we were wearing all of the cozy clothes. We were still so happy to be surrounded by snow, and Estonia had been incredibly high on our list for such a long time, and somehow it was living up to the expectations we had for it.
We got Christmas markets there. We also got to have a lot of glog, and we got to experience lunch in 2 medieval restaurants. One because it was too expensive, we had to leave quickly.
And the other one was like Karen's Diner, but medieval theme.
Once we'd finished the medieval restaurant, we pretty much went straight to bed because we had a 4:30 wake up the next morning. Reason being, we were catching an unexpectedly massive ferry with a lot of different things on board that took us all the way to Helsinki.
Because Helsinki was our last spot for 2022, we had this renewed energy in us. So even though we had woken up so early that morning, we went straight back out to go see the Christmas market.
We didn't plan on doing that at all, but the tram we took that took us into the hotel we were staying at went straight past the market, and you just can't resist once you see it.
No, they were all too good. You can't say no to one more.
Rounded out our trip in Helsinki, exploring a 100-year-old market, going down an esplanade, which was just a snowfield, and going to the most beautiful cafe in the world.
The coziest cafe in the world.
Coziest cafe in the world.
It was so nice. Cafe Regatta, if you're ever in Helsinki, is worth the hype, which is quite
Rare.
Yeah. Because you see it everywhere on Instagram and YouTube, and it lives up to it. Like, we were roasting sausages on the fire after having a hot chocolate inside, and it was just the best way to end our day in Helsinki, let alone the entire trip.
After that, we had an incredibly big travel day. We caught 3 different flights on 3 different airlines through 3 different continents, having to recheck baggage every single time, but we made it home for the festive season.
I'd like to say it was travel hacking genius that made us pick that route, but to be honest, it's because everything had sold out before that and we had to deconstruct it and book everything separately. I will say I think it worked out cheaper because that was only like $200 and something for both of us to get home.
It's definitely cheaper.
That travel day took us back through Singapore, which I feel like was so serendipitous because that's where our whole trip started, and we just got so nostalgic about the entire year, and I couldn't believe that this was the last travel day of 2022. Like, we were going home to celebrate Christmas and that was it for the entire year. It went so fast. What was your favourite bit?
For the whole year?
Yeah.
It's too much.
It's too much.
Done. Use your other hand, you muppet.
Alright, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Hope that worked.